Good evening, I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler. Welcome to my latest video. We're going to take a look at the latest forecast update, and everything I use in tonight's video will be from the midday model runs from 25 January 2024. All right, so in tonight's video, we're going to look at the overview here. We'll take a look at the thickness and temperature anomaly charts, the forecasts, the EPS, the European, as well as the GFS Ensemble forecasting system, the 500 millibar anomaly charts, where those troughs and ridges set up. Then we'll move on to the longer range outlook, followed by my final thoughts. All right, so the first thing I want to do and kind of break things down here to kind of limit the amount of time I do these videos. I got some great feedback that I need to cut back a little bit on the time because I do kind of go overboard with the time sometimes. Sometimes it gets away from me. I have so much fun analyzing these charts and kind of describing in layman's terms kind of like what's going on with the weather. So I promise to keep this shorter and more concise. So we're going to first start off with the forecast for Friday, tomorrow, the 26th of January, 2024. Let me get my pointer out here. Okay, so here on the left of every one of these next 7 slides, I'm going to show you the thickness chart. I'm going to show you the thickness chart with the surface pressures on the left. And then on the right, I'm going to show you the temperature anomalies. Now, this is from the 12Z 25 January 2024 European forecast, okay? So these are all midday model runs for today from the European model. So first things first, tomorrow here on the left. One thing I want you to realize or kind of understand is whenever you see the blue dashed lines on a thickness chart, that generally correlates to lower thickness values in the atmosphere. And with lower thickness values, those are generally associated with colder temperatures. So wherever you see the blue dashed lines on these charts here on the left that I'm about to show you as we break the next 7 days down, that indicates colder air. Whenever you see these red dashed lines, on the other hand, that is generally indicative of warmer air, warmer temperatures. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through these different images. All right, so first things first here, tomorrow afternoon, the 26th of January, 2024, we have an area of high pressure. It's fairly strong and it's situated off the U.S. southeast coast. On the backside of high pressure, we typically get southerly and southwesterly winds that are generally going to be blowing from the Gulf of Mexico up through the mid-Atlantic and even up towards southern New England tomorrow. So we're expecting another mild day across the mid-Atlantic for the 26th of January. In fact, we could see high temperatures across southeastern Virginia again up into the lower 70s, very similar to what we've seen both yesterday and today. The coldest air for tomorrow is going to be situated well to the northwest, into Canada, and then back over the northern plains. We do see some green showing up here on these charts that indicates precipitation. So as you can see, tomorrow we'll see some precipitation across New England. We'll also see some precipitation across the northern Gulf of Mexico up to the Florida Panhandle and Pensacola, and then Alabama and Georgia. But fairly dry, just mainly mostly cloudy across the mid-Atlantic for tomorrow. We do see another storm system coming on the Pacific Northwest coast with some shower activity across southern Oregon. If we look at the temperature anomalies forecast tomorrow on the right, we can clearly see where the southerly winds and the southwesterly winds are blowing on the backside of this strong high pressure offshore over the western Atlantic. We have a lot of very much positive temperature anomalies going from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up into New England. In fact, in Virginia here, and specifically Hampton Road cities, we can see temperatures in the order of 25 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit above normal tomorrow. So just some really, really mild conditions in that southwesterly wind flow across the eastern seaboard up to the mid-Atlantic. There's another area of much above normal temperatures as well across the northern plains and the upper Midwest for tomorrow as well. Turning our attention now to the forecast for Saturday, 27 January 2024, we still see some red dashed lines, those higher thickness values still kind of sprawled out across the southeastern U.S. up towards the southern mid-Atlantic. And so what we're going to expect is fairly mild temperatures. It will be slightly cooler though on Saturday, as we will have a cold front generally draped just south of the Virginia state line there into northern North Carolina. And we do have some areas of heavier rain that are occurring across Alabama, parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, parts of western Carolinas also for Saturday afternoon. So if you're driving that way, it's going to be very wet. Very mild though, again, overall, not too bad for late January standards. across the Gulf Coast, Florida. We see some milder temperatures also across the western United States for Saturday. See some rain showers from Seattle down to Portland for Saturday afternoon as well. And we see the coldest air represented by these blue dashed lines up over the upper Midwest and the northern plain states for Saturday. You clearly see that here on the right for the forecast temperature anomalies for Saturday the 27th of January. We see mainly this blue coloring here is in association with cooler temperatures behind the frontal boundary and this area of low pressure that's going to be situated over west central Tennessee by Saturday afternoon. So on the back side of that low pressure, we're going to have some slightly cooler temperatures. In addition, there'll be a lot of cloud cover, for example, across Arkansas, resulting in cooler temperatures as well. We still see a very mild day from the Gulf Coast northeastward towards New England for Saturday. So if you have any plans, I know we got the NFL football playoffs going on, but that'll be on Sunday. So you won't be experiencing these mild temperatures. There'll be no football on Saturday. That's right. So anyway, it's just going to be a milder day overall if you have outdoor plans or activities. Now looking here in this coastal area of southeast Virginia, maybe just some scattered showers during the day. But later in the evening, this area of heavier showers is going to move into the area, into the Hampton Roads cities and the Richmond area by Saturday afternoon. Looking ahead now to the forecast for Sunday, 28 January 2024, we can clearly see now a red letter there, a red L, representative of lower atmospheric pressure situated right over the Outer Banks by Sunday afternoon. And out ahead of this area of low pressure, we got a lot of rising air motion. We got showers well off the southeast coast and the mid-Atlantic coast by this point in time, Sunday afternoon. Some residual scattered showers on the backside of this area of low pressure into southeastern Virginia for Sunday afternoon, but the heaviest rain should be offshore by that point. There will also be a cold front extending south from this area of low pressure, so we have some lowering thickness values. Whenever these dashed lines, these red dashed lines, these blue dashed lines are close together, that's indicative of a stronger cold front and also some windier conditions as well. Some rapid changes are ongoing in the atmosphere, and so that results in a lot of wind blowing. So we're going to get breezy conditions across Virginia and parts of Pennsylvania, West Virginia by Sunday afternoon. We kind of see this blue dash line here, the 540 decameter thickness line now south of Memphis. So we got some cooler air working into the base of this shortwave trough by Sunday afternoon. A lot of rain showers, potentially some wintry mix and snow on the northwest side into parts of western PA and Oklahoma. I'm sorry, not Oklahoma, Ohio. Western PA and Ohio. I don't know why I was thinking Oklahoma here. But in general, some wintry precip on the backside of this area of low pressure. We see some scattered showers additionally across Seattle and coastal Washington. Other than that, the rest of the country is fairly dry for Sunday. If you got plans to go, I think we got a game up in Baltimore on Sunday, right? Yeah, we got a game in Baltimore on Sunday, so it's looking kind of nasty in Baltimore for the game. We also have a game later in the afternoon there in San Francisco, and it's looking dry for that football game on Sunday as the Detroit Lions go in to San Francisco for the NFC Championship game, looking dry. So it doesn't look like weather's going to have as much of an impact on the San Francisco game as, say, let's compare that to the Baltimore game on Sunday. Over here on the right, we're showing the temperature anomalies. You notice the cool down here along the Gulf Coast, where temperatures on the order of 3 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit below normal by Sunday afternoon. We still have a little bit of a warm pocket of air at this time extending over the coastal North Carolina to southeastern Virginia, and that's generally right immediately ahead of this cold front, ahead of that area of low pressure. We also have a lot of warm temperatures across the northern plains on Sunday. Look at you in North Dakota, 25 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. Minnesota, you're going, where's winter? 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And then back here towards eastern Montana, 20 to 22 degrees Fahrenheit above normal there. And also fairly mild into San Francisco for the game. Temperatures could be on the order of 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit above normal for that San Francisco football game. Moving ahead now to the forecast for Monday, the 29th of January. We're kind of closing out the month of January, and you'll notice this trough shape here. Let me draw it out for you. Whenever we have a trough, okay, whenever there's a trough like this in the atmosphere, that's going to be indicative of cooler air coming down through the base of the trough. So we're expecting a much cooler day for the mid-Atlantic for Monday, the 29th. In fact, temperatures most likely are going to just pretty much remain in the 40s for Monday across areas of Virginia, southeastern Virginia, and specifically, we just have cooler air coming down from eastern Canada into the base of this trough. We now see that area of low pressure in the storm well out to sea, and it's getting stronger, but it's going well. It's moving well away from the east coast of the U.S. Maybe some lingering precip on the backside here into eastern Massachusetts by Monday afternoon, but that'll be about it. Dry overall across much of the United States by Monday afternoon. If you look at the temperature anomalies over here on the right, you'll see temperatures are fairly close to normal for those of you living in Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas. Florida, you're below normal. Look at this. Central and South Florida will be 10 to 13 degrees Fahrenheit below normal on Monday afternoon. The rest of the country, though, west of the Mississippi River specifically, is going to be well above normal for Monday. Taking a look now at the forecast for Tuesday, the 30th of January, 2024. Let's just draw out this trough again. Let me get my utensil here. So we've got the trough kind of extending like this. By the time we get into Tuesday, so we have colder air generally north of this red line by Tuesday. We'll have some modifying colder air across southeastern Virginia by this point, but then you're kind of seeing some more cold air trying to come down from Canada. There's a lot of tightly packed dashed lines here. That's indicative of very strong winds and a lot of changes in the atmosphere again. There will be an area of low pressure generally over the lower Great Lakes into northern Indiana on Tuesday. This system is going to be generally working to the east-southeast. Additionally, we have ridging out over the western U.S. and beneath these big ridges, you typically have sinking air motion and fair weather. And as you notice, there's no green out here over this area in the western U.S. because it's dry beneath that ridge. The air is sinking. Over here on the right, showing the temperature anomaly forecast for Tuesday, the 30th of January, generally close to normal from, say, southeast Virginia down the coast. Again, well below normal for central and southern Florida, where it would be 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit below normal on Tuesday afternoon. But look at much of the United States is well above normal for late January. Forecast for Wednesday, 31 January, to kind of close out the month of January. What are we looking at here? We got a nice big ridge situated over the western U.S. Again, the air is going to be sinking beneath that ridge, so you're going to have an absence of precipitation across the Intermountain West, as well as those of you in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, not much going on there. We'll have a frontal system that's going to be coming on shore across the far west coast of the United States, so we got some rain showers kind of going from Seattle, working our way down Interstate 5, Portland, and then in Northern California. We do have a little bit of shower activity off the mid-Atlantic coast and southeast coast by Wednesday afternoon, so looking fairly dry. You will notice now that we have some pretty cold air that's starting to work its way down at this point from eastern Canada. So it's a reinforcing shot of cold air late on the day on Wednesday. So there's going to be a little bit of a cold front that's going to be dropping through the mid-Atlantic. You really see that here on the right. Look at the temperature anomalies here. They're well below normal across far southeastern Canada, New York State, Vermont, and New Hampshire. We also have below normal temperature anomalies across the areas near Asheville, North Carolina, extending southwestward to the deep south, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Not quite as below normal temperature anomalies now for Wednesday for the Florida Peninsula. Overall, we're looking at very warm conditions west of the Mississippi River for Wednesday, 31 January. Look at all this warmth out here beneath this sprawling area of higher heights or upper level ridge. I'll show you that here on the Ensemble forecast in a minute. And then finally, let's take a look at the forecast for Thursday, the 1st of February, 2024. This was really impressive when I saw this first thing this afternoon. We got a major dip in the jet stream here across New England, working our way down into the mid-Atlantic, and we've got some pretty cold air that's going to be working its way southward from southeastern Canada, according to the latest forecast model here from the European. This will be Thursday afternoon. This will start the month of February. This area here is below normal in temperature, okay? Everywhere else across the United States is above normal. We do see some moisture working its way into the Sierra Nevada as well as Southern California by Thursday, the 1st of February. We also have a new area of low pressure, which is just kind of coming on the map, generally off the Pacific Northwest. So we have a lot of activity across Southern California for Thursday, the 1st of February. It's mainly dry, but much colder across New England and the Mid-Atlantic, even down to Ohio That area is looking colder than normal, and then we're looking dry and warmer than normal here across the central U.S. You clearly can see the delineation of temperatures here. If I just draw a red line here, this is generally that zone. To the right of this red line, it's below normal. To the left of that line, it's above normal across the northern plains for Thursday. So now let's examine both the European and the GFS Ensemble forecast. So let's compare them. This is the Ensemble forecast. This is 500 millibar height anomalies now. So again, whenever you see the orange and the brown coloring, that indicates upper level ridging, that indicates sinking air motion and above normal temperatures. Whenever you see the blue coloring, or green coloring, or purple coloring, that's associated with well below normal heights in the upper atmosphere. And it's associated with more unsettled weather conditions and precipitation and well below normal temperatures. So initially for tomorrow, Friday the 26th of January, the afternoon, we see this massive sprawling area of above normal heights from the mid-Atlantic extending into New England and southeast Canada, back west towards central Canada, and anything beneath this ridging is going to be associated with just very mild conditions. We have an upper level trough or closed low situated near the Amarillo, Texas area at this point in time. We got that southwesterly flow again pumping in to the mid-Atlantic. And so it's going to be much above normal for Friday afternoon, the 26th of January, with temperatures extending into the 70s across a large chunk of the mid-Atlantic. And then we compare that over here to the right, on the right side here. This is the GFS Ensemble forecast. Not much difference, very similar in the structure of where these upper level synoptic features are positioned, the ridges and the troughs. Moving on now to the Ensemble forecast for Saturday, 27 January 2024. This little trough here, the shortwave trough, is starting to move more towards the east, okay? This is going to be responsible for really kicking off an area of surface low pressure, generally to the right of the shortwave trough axis in this area here. And that low pressure is eventually going to work its way northeastward towards Pennsylvania by Sunday. And there's going to be a swath of a lot of rain that's going to be out ahead of this, with extensive lifting ahead of that low pressure area. But for Saturday, again, we're still seeing that southwesterly flow. The upper level trough, the shortwave trough, is moving to the east, is kicking off an area of surface low pressure. Expect the wettest conditions Saturday, generally across parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, into the western Carolinas, and it will eventually move in Saturday night into southeastern Virginia and the mid-Atlantic. Moving ahead now to the forecast for Sunday, the 28th of January. We got a really good area of upper level low pressure here, upper level low height. Closed low over western PA. We have a trough axis extending in a positive manner southwest from it. Ahead of the trough axis is typically where you get the lifting air motion and the rising air right here. So eventually this is going to push east, and all the rain is going to push offshore to the east as this trough axis pivots in. We do see some ridging now, some higher heights building across the Intermountain West up to west central Canada by this point on a Sunday afternoon. Looking over here on the right, you see a similar setup. It's not quite closed off per the Jeffs V12, okay? So it's not a closed height contour here over western PA with the Jeffs. It does still have the positively tilted trough, however. Very similar placement to the European on the left. And we do see ridging. It's not quite as strong, the ridging, on the Jeffs on the right. And then we move in now to the Ensemble model forecast 500 millibar height anomalies for Monday, 29 January 2024. We now see the trough. It's pushed offshore. It's moving away from the East Coast in general. In its wake, though, we're going to have strong northerly winds at the surface, which is going to result in cooler than normal temperatures here along the immediate coast for Monday. And you're going to have ridging out over the western U.S. up to central Canada by Monday. So we're starting to get more of that ridging. You can see it here on the right, on this right-hand graphic too. This is the Jeffs V12. You also see that troughing right off the coastline, the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast coast by Monday. Forecast now for Tuesday, 30 January 2024. What's really interesting with the Ensemble modeling, what I've noticed in the last couple of days, is that you generally have these lower than normal heights just kind of parked over the western Atlantic here. And it's happening in both models here. Whether we look at the Jeffs or the EPS European on the left or the Jeffs on the right, it's there. We do also have very similar position of this ridging here, extending from a south-southwest and north-northeast orientation up towards the western shores of Hudson Bay. So downstream of this ridging, you're going to get some troughing, and we're seeing that. and still fairly cold temperatures right here in the mid-Atlantic and up to New England. If we look over here on the right, we still see the ridging as well on the Jeffs V12 extending northeastward. So very similar positioning there. We do have a fairly deep trough, by the way, a possibly tilted trough across the northeastern Pacific by this point in time as well, by Tuesday the 30th. For the ensemble forecast, 500 millibar height anomalies, Wednesday, 31 January 2024. We clearly see that lower than normal height signature remaining. It's still there per both the EPS on the left and Jeffs on the right. We see the ridging is pretty much remaining in a similar place. It's not really moving very much, is it? The ridging here, centered over the central U.S. up through central Canada. We do see a deepening trough generally located over the Northeast Pacific. You see the trough axis right in this location here. So this is an association with the rising air motion and some showers moving on to the shores of the West Coast by this point in time. We look at the Ensemble 500 millibar height anomaly forecast for Thursday, the 1st of February. Look at this. I mean, this is phenomenal. The trough remains over the western North Atlantic. Okay, lower than normal heights, the green and the blue colors. And then you have higher than normal heights pretty much remaining over the same location over the central U.S., up northern plains, up through central Canada. So you're going to get cooler air in this troughing signature to show up on the east coast of the United States on the 1st of February. You're also going to see this trough coming ashore here into parts of the western U.S. And then also pay attention to this right here, this orange coloring here. In both of these ensemble forecast models, you're seeing some higher heights starting to build in now into the western Aleutian Islands. And that is going to be responsible for some rising heights overall, a pattern in which is going to favor some colder temperatures of the east over time. Now, if we just take a look at the Norfolk, Virginia area here, okay, I wanted to show you the differences here between these models. Okay, so I have the GFS temperature forecast here on the left. I have the European forecast on the right. Now, what I've noticed over the last couple days, we know it's mild today on Thursday the 25th. We know it's going to be mild on the 26th. Both models are really within like 2 to 3 degrees for the high temperature of each other. But then look at very similar for Saturday. Okay, we have the GFS forecasting. Let's see here. GFS is forecasting 53 on Saturday. Okay, on the left. European 54. So expected temperature around 53 to 55 for Norfolk, Virginia on Saturday. Okay, and then you see this rise on the GFS to 66, and you see this rise to 67 on the European on the right. And that is because we're going to get that southerly flow of wind. That low pressure is going to track to our west, and on the front side of the low pressure, you get those southerly winds out ahead of the low pressure as well as the approaching cold front. So it's going to warm up again. There'll be a temporary cool down on Saturday, but by Sunday, it's going to warm right back up again with the rain until the front comes through, and then you notice the drop here. Okay, in both cases, whether we're talking GFS on the left, high temperature forecast to be 43 on Monday. For the European, the forecast is 46 on Monday. And then it remains fairly cold on the European both Monday, Tuesday, very similar to GFS on the left. And then you'll notice on Wednesday the 31st, the models are within 4 degrees of each other. You know, the GFS is sitting 48 and the European 52 for a high. And then look at this. The European really likes the colder look here. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday late next week, whereas the GFS is not so into that possibility. Okay, so we have some divergence in the modeling late next week. There's been a lot of back and forth with these temperatures for Norfolk, Virginia, for southeastern Virginia in general. Now, this is again based off the 25 January 12Z model data. Now, let's look a little bit further into early February. Okay. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so we're examining Monday afternoon, the 5th of February. Okay, I'm starting to really like the look of this thing. Okay, so because this green coloring here, that's indicative of upper level troughing, right? That's associated with a shortwave trough. We still have that lower than normal height signature kind of sitting over the western North Atlantic. We still have the ridge generally situated over the same location, central Canada. But these areas here, wherever you see this green coloring, that's indicative of potential storm development, okay? There's going to be a lot of moving pieces here. These features are going to no doubt shift in their location slightly, and that can mean all the difference in the world. When you get this ridging here, you're going to get troughing right here in the southeast and mid-Atlantic coast, okay? So we literally could be seeing the start here of a more southerly storm track from Southern California across the southeastern U.S., potential storms then tracking just off the coast and up into the western North Atlantic. If we look at the longer range climate models, I'm going to show you one more to close this video, but this is the climate forecast system, the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast. And this has been very persistent, the signal from CFS. It's showing, so the image here on the left, the blue is generally showing lower than normal heights associated with more storminess, and this purple color or the peach and salmon colors represent above normal heights, okay? So the graphic here on the left is for the period 1 to 8 February, okay? That's the forecast, 1 to 8 February. And look what's happening here. We got the ridging, which is matching up very well with the operational models I showed you. But we have a lower than normal heights situated off the southeast U.S. coast. We have lower than normal heights here in central and southern California. The blue coloring indicating where the storm track is going to be, okay? The higher than normal heights are to the north of that storm track. We like this. Now, the real dilemma or question is going to be, can we get cold enough temperatures across the mid-Atlantic to get wintry precip? That remains to be seen still. If we look at the graphic here on the right, this is showing you the height anomalies at 500 millibars from the 8th of February to the 15th of February. And look at the blue and how more extensive it is by this point in time. So we have lower than normal pressure, lower than normal upper level heights. This is associated with your storm track here, okay, for the time period 8 to 15 February. Continuing on in the CFS forecast at 500 millibar height anomalies, now we're 15 February to 22 February. And look at what we got here now. We got well below normal heights across southeastern Canada, the Great Lakes extending to New England and down into the mid-Atlantic. We have higher than normal heights from that 15 to 22nd period with the ridging out along the U.S. West Coast. So initially it's going to be wet in Southern California, okay, it's to start February. But by the time we get to mid-February, the forecast is for that area to dry out and ridging to replace it in dry air masses out over the western U.S. Downstream of the ridging, we're going to get the troughing, okay? And that's important in producing those below normal heights, below normal temperatures at the surface, and potential storminess. And then finally, over here on the right, CFS forecast, 500 millibar height anomalies, 22 to 29 February. And look at this. Very similar areas with below normal heights in the blue. And the higher than normal heights are situated over the Pacific Northwest, right up here. We got a ridge axis extending all the way up to Western Canada. And so could be a lot of interesting things going on in the long term. Now, I want to show you, let me do my final thoughts first, then I'm going to show you one other model run for the more extended longer range. My final thoughts are this. We are going to see mild air. Now, these final thoughts, by the way, apply to the mid-Atlantic. Okay, so if you're watching me from a different location in the United States, my main focus in this video tonight is for the mid-Atlantic. So here are my final thoughts. A mild air with above normal temperatures. It's going to happen tomorrow on Friday, the 26th of January. High temps into the low 70s yet again. We'll see a cold front move south of our area on by late Friday, early Saturday, okay? And that's going to result in a brief cool down Saturday, the 27th of January. We'll have the area of low pressure moving in just to our west, but it'll be bringing up a lot of southerly there'll be a lot of southerly winds, and there'll be a lot of overnight soaking rain Saturday evening, really overnight Saturday night. That'll persist into Sunday morning early. Now, the way the model timing is working out, the rain should be out of here by midday Sunday. And then behind that particular front and that low pressure system as it moves up to the northeast, we're going to have the winds turn around to the north. They're going to increase in their speed. Whenever you bring those stronger northerly winds this time of year, late January, you've got a recipe for dry and colder conditions for the mid-Atlantic. And this is going to occur as an upper level trough kind of digs into the area from the north. And so it's going to feel more like winter again. We're going to see highs Monday the 29th, generally in the lower 40s. Maybe up to 45, but generally that range 43 to 45 for a high on Monday, after experiencing low 70s on Friday, the 26th. We will see a weak upper air disturbance. It's going to kind of drop through the trough on Wednesday, the 31st of January, and it's going to produce some widely scattered showers across coastal Virginia. Not expecting a soaking rain on that system. Finally, will be remaining cool on Thursday, the 1st of February. The weak upper air disturbance kind of reinforces the troughiness across the eastern seaboard. In longer range, we are expecting anomalously high upper level heights to move north into central to eastern Canada. I showed that on the ensembles. We're going to see below normal temperature or below normal heights beneath that to the south, extending from Southern California to the southeast U.S. coast by the 5th of February. And this is going to result in a more active storm track. We're going to have a more re-energized subtropical jet stream, kind of moving that moisture from west to east, from Southern California through southern U.S., and then back up into the southeast, potentially up to the mid-Atlantic. And we will see the main question here is, will we see the wintry weather across the mid-Atlantic? I definitely think what I'm seeing right now, based on the guidance today, definitely possible, especially after the 10th of February. But again, as it is in every case, it's a matter of timing. Colder air moving in from the north, overrunning moisture moving in from the south, meeting at that right time. And that's the key. Cold from the north, moisture from the south, and that is the recipe for a winter storm across the mid-Atlantic. So I really like the way the pattern's looking as we get into February. There's a lot of inconsistencies in the modeling for late next week. For the temperatures, European is looking colder than, let's say, the Canadian or the GFS right now for late next week. But it's still something to really track. I noticed the models have trended a little bit colder next week overall. And so that's something we'll continue to watch here at Spot on Weather. Let me show you something here real quick before I end this video. Let me see if I'm going to discard that. And let me go back out here. Now, I wanted to show you one more thing here before we close. I wanted to show you this, okay? This is the latest European weeklies, and these are the 2-meter temperature anomalies, okay? So initially, you see here, now this is the forecast. Let's see, this is valid actually the 3rd of February. You really can see the warmest temperatures indicated by the brown coloring there in central Canada. The peach coloring is still above normal, so a large chunk of the U.S. is above normal on the 3rd of February, according to this model, the European weeklies. But let's move it forward in time and watch what happens here. Okay, just stay with me here. So we're still mild across the upper Midwest, Minnesota. You're right in the heart of this above normal temperature regime. But now look at the blue and green starting to move in across Southern California, the desert Southwest by the 12th of February. And watch what happens over time here, okay? Now we're on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, 15 February, 16 February, 19 February. Look what happens on 19 February here. All across the eastern U.S., it's blue now. Across the western U.S., it's blue. So here's your scale on the right, by the way. If you look over to the right, you see the scale. You're going to have temperature anomalies. So things are going to be below normal across the southeast up to the mid-Atlantic on the 19th. And then as we work our way, this is the 23rd now, still below normal across the eastern U.S. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Look at this. This is March 1st. We're still below normal in the southeast and mid-Atlantic. The 2nd, 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. I mean, the anomalies, this blue coloring goes all the way up to March 10th per the latest European weekly forecast. Now, let's change the parameter on this, and let's take a look at some other things. Let's take a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies now, okay? So where are the troughs and ridges showing up? So we see that big area of that orange coloring and the lighter brown coloring across central Canada on the 3rd of February associated with that massive upper level ridge. And we see blue coloring off the southeast and the general east coast in general. Blue coloring indicating lower than normal heights, well below normal heights across the northeast Pacific as well. Now let's watch what happens here, okay? So by the time we get to 10 February now, you see the higher than normal heights indicated by that orangish coloring there in Hudson Bay. You see below normal blue coloring from Southern California all the way across Texas, the Gulf Coast, and off the southeast coast. See that? And look at the shading here, guys. Look at the shading here by the 16th of February. And another thing that's noted here on the European weeklies is the building heights, the ridge axis right along the west coast of Canada, okay? So we got rising heights across western and northwestern Canada up to Alaska, okay? We got downstream of that, the blue coloring over the mid-Atlantic and the southeast, and look at that. Look at that. It's persistent. It's not going anywhere. This is 2 March, by the way. Have you seen much of a change on this? There's 10 March. There's 11 March. I mean, it continues for weeks. All right. So once the pattern potentially changes, right here, right around the 13th and 14th, definitely around the 15th. See that? Now, that's the 16th of February, and look at that blue coloring over the southeast and mid-Atlantic. It's not going anywhere. That indicates storminess and lots of it. Now, the real question is going to be whether we get cold enough temperature anomalies with the storminess. If we get below normal temperatures across the mid-Atlantic and southeast, you may not want to give up hope for a few flakes of snow this winter. It's very possible. So let's see what happens here in the next 7 to 10 days with the modeling. But this is some real interesting stuff here. These are very persistent signals. I wanted to show you the European weeklies and not just go with just the CFS model. So that wraps up my video, guys. I want to keep this short. I could talk to you all night about the weather. I love the weather. I love explaining the weather. And I love sharing the weather with you. So until next time, everybody, thanks for subscribing to my channel, and take care, and God bless everyone.